done, the timing's been done, the retension ahead, and working on the carbies, I wasn't having a lot of joy with the float level. It was flooding the carburetors, and I think this is a common problem with CX500 650s. I've had it on every one I've had, that the float bowls overflow. So I was getting the situation, symptom I was getting was that when you wrap the bike, it would hold on to the revs. It wouldn't die back sharply. So I stripped the carbies. Now I haven't got any new floats sitting here, and the floats in these carbies are all the plastic floats, which are virtually unadjustable. You can't adjust them like the old ones. So okay, the obvious thing is to go and buy some new floats and valves. I have got some order of the old style, but the video I'm about to show you is how I got round fixing the plastic floats. I've got to say right from the start, some of you might think this is a shonky sort of fix, but I think it's going to work. So if you're sort of having trouble with overflowing floats with the plastic valves, and you've got no spares to get the bike going, check the video out. Hi guys, well I've been running the bike, and the problem I've been having, at times it's running okay at idle, but there's been other times where it's been sitting at idle. You rev the bike, you give the bike a quick wrap, and the revs take a while to die back. And then the carburetors have been overflowing through the overflow here, which is through this tube here. You know, now you can check this tube for cracks, but there's no cracks here in it, and the seat in the drain valve is all okay. It's purely a problem of the float valve leaking, and at times it's actually been overflowing, not just there. I don't know whether you can see this small tube down here. See it there with the light. It's got a little hole in it as well. That's the actual, that's a breather, and it's been, so the fuel's been quite high in the bowl and actually overflowing through the breather as well. So these really haven't been closing off. What I've done is I've got one of my spray regulators here. I've just put hardly any amount of air on it. I don't know whether you can hear that. It's just a very light amount of air, and I've connected that to the fuel supply of the carby here, and you can hear that leaking there. You know, like if I spray a little bit of just a little bit of WD-40 on it, you can see it bubbling out of there. You know, the trouble is with these plastic valves. You know, the trouble is they're not adjustable, you know. There's nothing you can do with them, really. You can just shove them in, check and float height and all that. There's no way of doing it. You know, it seems to be a problem with these old carbies. I've had the same trouble with the black bike, and I've used the old type of floats in that bike, and you know, adjusted them to suit, and it's been okay. But you know, like I used to have to turn the fuel off when I stopped, and I think probably that's, you know, possibly another reason why they use a vacuum petcock valve on the fuel tank as well, to shut the fuel off as soon as the carbies are stopped. You know, which I haven't. I've just got a straight petcock on there. I've just taken the carby cover off the other carburetor, which is that's the left one, and that valve's leaking there right now. This one I'll show you how that one's not leaking anymore, because I bent that tab a little bit, the plastic tab. We'll see how long it lasts, but you can see that there, that bubbling away. Look, that's leaking, and that's, you know, it's unadjustable. So I'm going to bend this one too. I think once it's got a bend sort of a convex bend in it. I said, I don't think it's going to pop out. All right, take that out. I'm going to make sure that little spring is working right as well. Okay, so all I'm going to do is gently squeeze this with the pliers to put a little curve in it. Just be very careful. That's gone the wrong way. And then I've done it, just, you can see that? I've got it, and I've got the curve going downwards. I can hear a lot of guys saying, that's so shonky, but I've got no option here at the moment, and you'll see how it works. It's always a thing for you to try if you've got float problems anyway, I reckon. So, yeah, it's all an experiment here at the moment. But that curve, that convex curve in that little arm that hits the float is now curved. It's now got a curve in it. I'm just going to give this seat a polish with, basically I've got a cotton bud with some polish on there. I'm just going to gently polish that seat. So I just had that auto sol polish, a bit of that on there. And just polish that seat up a bit. I'll just clean that out now with a bit of petrol. I just flush this out with a bit of petrol so you can see the air coming in there. So. Okay. I don't know whether you'll be able to hear this, but at the moment I can't hear any air. I'll just lift this valve. You hear that? There. Off. On. And when I measure that, at that angle, there, it's right on 15.5. It's 15 to 15.5. So again, I'm going to leave that, you know. Well, I'm not going to leave it. I'm going to test it, see how it goes. I don't know whether you can see in here at all, but this little arm here, which is normally straight, I've just put a very slight bend in it. It's actually got a little kink mark in the center now. So I've just bent that. Okay, you know, like I've said before, you know, probably the best thing to do here, which I haven't got at the moment, I want to get it going, is to buy some new ones and see how we go. But at the moment, I've put that little bend in there, so I'm going to put it back on the bike and see how it pans out. So now I've just connected the carbies outside the bike up to the fuel supply, and we'll turn the fuel on and see if we've got any leaks before we put them in the bike. Well, they're both sitting there now and there's no fuel coming out anywhere. So the next step is to get these in the bike and give them another shot, see what we got. Yeah, when taking the CX carburetors out, in and out, it's a good idea to pop them. It's a bit easier on a carburetor, I've got to admit. You can take the air filters off very easily, and then just pop them off the manifolds. Pop them off your manifolds. Pull out the left-hand manifold. Bring the carbies out towards the left, and then undo your cables when you've got good access to them. Now I'm just going to put these cables back on, get the carbies back into position, put the left-hand manifold in, and then pop them back onto the manifold. Carbies are now back on, and no fuel leaks. Driving there, probably a little bit fast. It's 1200 now. It's getting nice cut off. Real nice and sharp, you know. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, guys. Had the fuel on now for an hour or so, and no leaks from the carbies at all. Float level's probably nice now in the carburetors, because it's not holding on when you sort of wrapped it. It would sort of hold on to the revs. It's snapping off really nice now. I've set the mixtures. Pretty happy with it. So, you know, okay, I'm sure a lot of you are going to think that's a bit of a shonky fix, but we'll see how it goes working. But having that float, where that tiny little arm that sits on the valve spring, you know, there's no adjustment there. So if it eventually sort of wet, it's not going to touch, and it unseats the valve. Now I've put a tiny bend in it, so a bend in it like that. So I've got a bend in that little tiny plate that touches the spring valve, and actually, if you're careful, you know, just squeeze it and make sure it bends the right way, so it's convex seating the valve, and it gets a tiny little sort of kink in the plastic. You know, you can just see like a little bit of a sort of clear sort of mark in the plastic. Now I think having that curve in it, it's not going to be able to bounce back the other way. It's going to stay down. It's going to stay down on the valve, and I think it's going to be more reliable in the long run. You know, I've got new ones, the old style coming, but you know, if it sits in here and it's working like it is now, I'm probably not going to worry about it, you know. So yeah, let's just look at it as a short-term fix if you've got you know, leaking fuel, float level problems, you know. Just give it a go.